Disney's theme parks are thought to be one of the most magical places on Earth, a place to let your imagination run wild, where adults can immerse themselves and feel like a child once more. But is this the magical place we all dreamed of? Or could there be a darker secret hiding behind the smiling faces, character costumes and parades? Hey there, dissectors. Well, summer is nearly upon us and many are looking for that next big adventure. But like any place that is visited by millions per year, it's not always sunshine and rainbows, and dark things often happen. So let's explore some of the haunted tales from Disneyland in California and Disney World in Florida. Disneyland opened on July 17th, 1955, with Walt Disney stating, "To all who come to this happy place, welcome." This was followed a few years later with his more ambitious park, Walt Disney World, in 1971, eventually consisting of 4 theme parks: Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. In all that time there have been reports of spooky goings-on, and today we're going to delve into some of these stories. So get comfortable, grab a drink and cozy blankets as we begin our episode with, of course, the Haunted Mansion. There have been numerous sightings at Disney World's Haunted Mansion of a man with a cane, witnessed late at night by cast members. It's said that people have approached him, telling him that the ride is closing, but he never responds. In fact, he never even looks in their direction, almost like he doesn't see them at all. Then, as they get closer to the spirit, he disappears before their eyes. Many believe he could be the ghost of a pilot whose plane crashed in the 1940s into what is now known as Bay Lake. In the new remake of The Haunted Mansion, wasn't the evil spirit a man with a cane? Was this spirit used as inspiration for the movie? What do you think? But this spirit is not alone in haunting the mansion, as there is a little boy who likes to ride the doom buggies, as the carriages are referred to, and he has been photographed a number of times by visitors to the park. In 2004, a guest wrote in a Disney forum that not only was he not there when I took the pic, there wasn't a child of this age within 20 people in front of me in line, and as you can see, he's only a few doom buggies in front of me. Not only that, but what's he looking at? There is no flash and no visible light coming from him. It's all infrared and invisible to the naked eye. Now this little boy seems to be enjoying the ride, but at Disneyland there is also a little boy, but he's often seen crying, searching for his mother. It's believed that the boy's mother spread his ashes in the Haunted Mansion without getting the park's permission. Now let's be clear here. Disney is never going to give you permission to do this, and even states that it is something that doesn't happen. Now, I'm not sure if I believe that, as I've also heard many stories that they vacuum up the ashes they do discover, so either way, it's not the place to scatter remains. Anyway, it seems that his spirit has been witnessed crying in despair as he searches for his mother, while also being seen in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride just next door to it. And as we're talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean, there is a ghost story attached to this ride at Disney World that is pretty well known. It's believed that a young construction worker named George fell to his death here, while others think he was crushed by a falling beam, and is thought to be responsible for anything that goes wrong while the ride is in operation. Cast members reportedly wish his spirit a good morning and good night, and if anyone disrespects him, he causes problems like the ride breaking down, phone calls coming from an empty room, even appearing on the ride's monitors. Guests have reported feeling an eerie chill, especially in the area where the town is burning, as this location is where George is thought to have died. But George apparently has 2 areas that he favours the most, and this is near the drunk pirate seen hugging the pigs near the bridge, and near the end of the ride where the dog has the key while the prisoners try to entice it to come closer. The door of the cell is actually referred to as George's door. But even though he seems quite harmless, be warned. Guests who have ridden the ride and shouted out that they don't believe in George have found themselves stuck on the attraction for hours after a sudden breakdown. Creepy fact for you dissectors: whether George's story is real or an urban legend, did you know that real bones were used once as props on the California version of the ride? Apparently when the ride first opened, the props department didn't feel that the fake skeletons they could get looked real enough, So they used real ones donated by the UCLA Medical Center. But don't worry, they've been replaced now, but still gives a whole new perspective next time you ride it. But we're not finished with the Pirates ride, as back in Orlando, Florida, you may also come across the spirit of two ladies who are thought to have died on the ride while sitting in the front row. It's believed that their boat came off the track at the bottom of the drop near the beginning of the attraction, killing them instantly. People have mentioned feeling their presence and a cold, unnatural chill that engulfs them. Now, Spaceship Earth at Epcot is often thought of as an informative, fun ride for the family where you travel through advancements made over time. But apparently, there is a little boy and girl often seen playing together outside the attraction who will suddenly appear on the ride together. No one seems to know who they are or where they came from. Space Mountain in Disneyland, though, has a tale which is most likely an urban legend, but still sounds really creepy. Nicknamed Mr. One Way, this spirit is either described as a red-haired man with a red face, or a teenager dressed in 70s era clothing. People have described seeing him in line waiting to ride the attraction. If seen as the red-haired man, he will ignore all of those around him, whereas the teenager seems to be locked in the 70s, believing no time has passed since his death. Creepier are the stories, which are apparently backed up with video evidence, of the man getting into a car of the ride from the opposite side of the waiting area. He sits down in any available seat and will ride Space Mountain until the final tunnel, where he suddenly disappears. Now, I'm not sure how they know this, as the ride is so dark, it would be hard to see someone disappearing, or maybe his image was caught on cameras as he rides. Any hardcore Disney fan will probably be aware of the fact that there is a small apartment situated above the firehouse on Main Street at Disneyland. While the park was under construction, Walt Disney wanted to make sure he was on hand for all decision making, and so stayed in this 500 square foot living area. In recent years, the area has been opened up to the public as part of a behind the scenes tour, and as a tribute to the big man himself, a light is left on in the front window. But this wasn't always the case, and it's something paranormal that started the tradition off. You see, at the end of one particular workday, a cast member turned the light off in the room, only to discover it switched back on again as she got outside. So, thinking she must be mistaken, she went back upstairs, making sure everything was switched off, only to discover the light back on again. She went backwards and forwards, even unplugging the lamp, but nothing worked. The light remained lit. But the last time she went up the stairs, probably feeling totally confused and unsure what to do next, she heard Walt's voice say to her, "I'm still here." So from that day on, the window has remained lit. In 1984, the story goes that a woman named Regina Young, often referred to as Dolly, met a tragic end while riding the Matterhorn ride at Disneyland. It seems that a horrific accident occurred when she was struck by another oncoming bobsled, and for some reason at the time of the accident, she was unbuckled. Cast members have reported feeling that they're being watched while doing their end-of-day walkthroughs of the ride. The area of the track where she's believed to have died is now named Dolly's Dip. Next, we come to the untimely death of poor Deborah Stone at Disneyland's America Sings attraction, a ride that had previously housed the Carousel of Progress. It's said that on July 8th, 1974, the young 18-year-old Deborah got herself caught between the rotating theatre wall and the stationary stage, crushing her to death. Since then, a safety light has been installed which warns the operator if people get too close to the attraction. It's believed that Deborah's ghost acts like a guardian angel nowadays, and that cast members working the attraction, which closed in 1988, would often hear a voice whispering, "Be careful," if they got too close to the walls. The monorail at Disneyland has witnessed death too, or so it seems. In 1966, a young 19-year-old named Thomas Guy Cleveland is thought to have tried his luck at sneaking into the park by climbing the park's outer fence and walking along the monorail track. Even explaining this to you makes me cringe at how daft his behaviour was. But youth often has no fear, so they say. The poor lad was struck by an oncoming tram and killed, but he's still seen prowling around the monorail track late at night, and just as the tram gets close, he disappears without a trace. Now, we're better to end our journey about Disney than with the Tower of Terror. This attraction is said to be haunted by a cast member dressed as a bellhop that died on shift on top of the loading platforms. He makes himself known by making the lights flicker on and off and suddenly stopping the attraction while the cast members are finishing up for the day. So dissectors, what do you believe is true? Do you feel that these famous attractions could really be haunted, or are they just urban legends that have grown from tragedies that have occurred here? Have you been to a Disney park and felt something paranormal yourself? I would love to hear of your experiences in the comments section. I think many of the stories are probably urban legends, but that doesn't mean that all of them are, or take away from their creepiness. When you have so many people coming and going from all over the world, some as guests, others as cast members, there are bound to be events that occur that leave a stain on the place. From tales of untimely deaths to other events that had a deep impact on a soul. Who knows who could have been drawn here in death? Well, like we said earlier, it's meant to be the happiest place on earth, so where better to spend your eternity? I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and until next time, my friends, stay safe out there.